Hello, good afternoon, everyone. All right, so our session will be starting in another 1 minute. All right, so we just wait for another, 1 minute. All right, so waiting for more people to join. All right. Okay. So I think it's about time we can actually start with our Bukku training session today. Very good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Bukku training session. So today's topic is about the e-invoice software training with Bukku Accounting. And by the way, I'm Jay, so I will be the one conducting the training today. First thing first, let me just briefly go through today's agenda. So it will be going up to 2 hours. Of course, we will start with a very quick introduction to Bukku Accounting, and then followed by very quick introduction into the e-invoice solution that we have actually built into the Bukku Accounting. And one of the very first step, right, before you even want to start submitting e-invoices in Bukku is definitely you need to do a one-time setup in LHDN's My Tax Portal. So this is something that we will also be briefly going through. And for the rest of the time, I would say most of the time, I would be doing a live demo in regards to the e-invoice solution in Bukku. And of course, not to forget, we have a Q&A session at the end of it, right? So I will try to give as much as possible so you can so we can actually ask questions and I will try my best to actually answer that. Okay, so let's jump into the introduction. So Bukku itself is a cloud-based accounting software designed for SMEs in Malaysia. We actually started in 2019. That's about 5 or 6 years back. This is a 100% Malaysian-based, Malaysian-owned company, and meaning to say you can definitely expect those kind of local rules and regulations are being supported natively in our software. No need to actually go through any third-party software for sure. And we are currently the fastest growing accounting software company in Malaysia, already powering more than, this is a little bit outdated, we actually have more than 60,000 SMEs using our software, and currently supported by more than 250 professional accounting firms. So those accounting firms are working very closely with us, so they are our partners. So that's basically about it for those that are not familiar with, like first time heard about Bukku. And now we want to quickly talk about our e-invoice solution, right? In case you are still a little bit confused, you hear a lot of stories about there's different portals, there's different options, right? So basically what Bukku does in terms of our e-invoice solution, right? It connects to and integrate with LHDN MyInvois Portal. I shouldn't say portal, it should be the MyInvoice API. So of course, you definitely have heard about it, that you can also submit LHDN e-invoices through the MyInvoice Portal provided by LHDN. Okay, but trust me, it's kind of a tedious process because every time you are supposed to, you wanted to submit e-invoice, you have to key in everything one by one. And this is exactly how, if you have actually seen it before, and today I will present to you hopefully a much more better solution. So you can actually streamline the process in terms of submitting e-invoices from Bukku Accounting. And it's integrated into Bukku Accounting's existing interface. We are not talking about a different piece of software that you have to actually relearn that's looking totally different, having a different user interface. So no such thing. So if you have been our user in the past, then you can almost expect a very similar experience. Just a few buttons allowing you to submit e-invoices, and that's it. Okay, and it's currently included in all subscription plans at no additional cost, and we do not have plan to actually charge additional for any of our users. So this is some kind of assurance that you can actually get from us. And basically what it does is it eliminates the needs of filling up to 55 fields, something that you have definitely heard about as well. So of course, if you were to go through the MyInvoice portal, a lot of the 55 fields you will have to key in again and again every time you submit every single e-invoice. Okay, and it also streamlines the process of managing your customers' tax profile, because for every single one of your customers, right, you have that you want to actually submit submit e-invoice, you have to actually obtain their full tax profile, all right, including things like the TIN, the tax ID, basically, their address and things like that. And basically what we are helping with you is helping you to actually streamline the process, so you don't have to actually even ask for your customers like on the spot. So you can actually get them to fill out when they are back at home. And something that I can show you later. And finally, we also help you to automate the classification code, right? So something that you should be aware already, if not, because moving forward, once you have actually started enforcing the e-invoice, right? Every single item that you're going to be selling, you have to actually put in a classification code. Later, I will show you the list. Okay, so this is something that we are trying our best to help you better streamline your business process. So that's basically a very quick introduction into the e-invoice solution. Now, I want to quickly talk about the very first step that I talk about even before we want to talk about our user interface. Right, and of course, under the assumption that you already have access to the MyTax portal. Okay, this is a portal not built by ourselves, but coming from LHDN. And as long as you have been paying tax, you should actually have a login account. Otherwise, you will have to actually, perhaps not our focus today. So our assumption is that you already have the account, and I will just be actually going through with you how you can actually log in and actually grant the process. So the very first step that we are talking about here is, as you can see here, add intermediary. All right, so this is the term being used. So basically, in a layman term, is basically to grant access, right? Because we coming in as a third party, by default, we do not have the right to submit e-invoice on behalf of you. So this is basically the step to actually grant access to a third party system, in this case, Bukku, to tell LHDN that, okay, I give consent to Bukku to help me manage my e-invoices. As simple as that. Okay, so you just go to mytax.hasil.gov.my. All right, put in your IC number. Bear in mind, usually it's actually following your IC. You are logging in as a person. All right, just key in the IC. Of course, the password will follow after. So after you have successfully logged in, this is the same old interface that you are familiar with, basically. But what is actually new, in addition to what you have familiar with, is this MyInvoice button. Okay, and this is exactly the button that you want to click on. After you click on that, as you can see, this is like a totally brand new interface that I talked about just now, right? I gave my promise that after e-invoice has been added to Bukku, you can expect the same kind of experience. So this is just one kind of a example that when you actually build another system and it looks totally different, and then you have to relearn. But basically, this interface is quite straightforward. Just look to your right, top right. Okay, click on this area and you will see a drop down like this. So this drop down, right? Of course, you are supposed to click on this, but just before you want to click on this, you have to make sure the profile, okay? We're talking about whatever company, whatever enterprise, that make sure is highlighted, because who knows, you could have a lot of companies, right? Some is actually enterprise, some is Sendian. So for that, you have to make sure you're going into the right profile. We're talking about taxpayer profile. So you will have to switch the taxpayer here if you are not looking at the right entity, the business entity that we are talking about here. Okay, simply just click on that. You will be actually given the option to actually see the drop down. Just select from there. So once you have yeah, once you actually started seeing the correct entity, then you can just click on this part where it will bring you to this interface. Okay, so this interface, right? Of course, if you don't see it, just scroll all the way to the bottom. Okay, it's a rather long page. Just scroll to the bottom, click on this button, okay, and then you will see something like this. Team BRN name. And this is where you will add the third party. If today you're not using Bukku, which is fine, you can get the information from your vendor, and then usually they'll give you these three options, three information, then you can just key in accordingly, right? These are, bear in mind, not your information, but a third-party service provider, software providers information. Of course, you can actually check out the information here, and you can also refer to our articles. Like if in case you want to just copy and paste, you can always copy and paste the information. Key in, click on the search button. If everything goes well, you will see these three lines exactly as what you are seeing here. Click on the continue button. System will bring you to this interface where you will have to actually state a period of time. Okay, so basically this is like from when to when that you give permission to a third party Bukku accounting to help you submit e-invoices, help you manage e-invoices. Of course, the longer the better. As you can see, you can even go up to 2070 something, which is like easily 50 years from now. If you do not want hassles, but just to be, I think this is a bit too long for most of you, but I think at least give it 1 year. Otherwise, imagine if you just give us permission for 1 month, and you might bump into problems because every single month you have to log in and actually extend the period. Okay, so that's something that if that's what you prefer, then you have to make sure you remember coming in every month, extend it. Otherwise, at least give it a few years. Make sure the permissions are turned on, right? If not, if any of these are not turned on, most likely our system might not actually function entirely. So this is something to keep in mind. Turn everything on, click on this button. Okay, so this is kind of like the success screen. You should be seeing something like this, all right? So especially important, pay attention to the name of our company as well as the representation from and to. Okay, so make sure these are all valid. So that is basically it. That is the one-time setup that you're supposed to do, depending on the period of time that you're giving. After that is actually expired, you have to log in and actually extend the to date. Okay, so extend the to date. Otherwise, you should be good to go. And we can now jump into the live demo already. Okay, just quickly check. Yeah, okay, everyone is still following me. Okay, hopefully. And I will just quickly minimize it. So let's do this live demo. Okay, I will try to go step by step very slowly so you all can follow. Basically, I will follow the natural way of actually setting up. The very first thing that we should be talking about is definitely, as a supplier, your own tax profile, your own information. In order to submit e-invoices, LHDN requires your full information, which I will show you in a short while, as well as who you are actually selling to. Right? In this case, it will be your customer's tax profile. So this is something that I think the second or third thing that we'll be talking about later. Okay, first thing first, company profile. All right, so I will just give you an assumption. Right? So something that I forgotten to do just now. Just ignore what I'm doing now. I'm just going to remove something. All right, and click save. Okay, so imagine now. Let's restart again. So the first thing, as I mentioned just now, I want to actually talk about your company profile, which is as a supplier. So everything that you're seeing here is related to your company. And as you can see, the interface is quite clean and very well organized, broken into different groups. So of course, you can fill out as much as possible. Try to make it as complete as possible. But we understand this is confusing, right? A lot of information to key in. And sometimes you just want to know the bare minimum, right? In terms of, especially important right now, our topic is not about it is not about like enhancing your invoice, the look and feel, having the full information. Our topic today is about e-invoice. So we'll just be talking about it, right? So I want you to pay attention to all these little indicators, right? This green color, this orange color, these are all related to LHDN's requirement. Something that we added specifically for LHDN e-invoice compliant. So it's actually easier for you to follow. So whenever you see this, right, it's basically telling you that those information are required for you to actually fulfill e-invoice submission. Okay, as you can see here, there are some orange color that you can mouse over and you can actually see what's going on, right? Something is not right. Something is actually missing here, and you are actually supposed to provide all this information. And this is obviously the tax identification number. So this is for Malaysia only. So of course you can key in anything, but I just want you to, other than these indicators, right, I also want to highlight the second thing that I want to bring in here, the so-called live validation. Okay, so it's not just about you keying in a TIN number, right? So you see, I can key in anything here, all right? But the thing is that it doesn't turn green if you have actually noticed. And if you mouse over, the system says unable to validate. So I was just wanting to highlight this point here is you cannot just anyhow key in anything random. It has to be a valid TIN number. If not, the system won't give you a green color. And this is exactly what I'm trying to bring up here, live validation. We are doing a real-time validation with LHDN directly. As you are typing, we are actually talking to their server and trying to see whether what you have actually keyed in is correct or not. So in this case, I actually have a valid TIN, so I'm just going to key in accordingly. 040. So you can see it was actually loading for a bit, and then it actually turns green. Everything here turned green just now. And this is exactly to prove my point, right? We are actually checking with LHDN. Okay, so only if you are giving a valid information, then the system will allow you to actually go through. Okay, so that's number one, right? After you have actually fulfilled everything, you see the whole group is giving you a green. But there is a bigger indicator still throwing a orange color, and it's actually telling you exactly. So obvious, I don't even have to actually mention it. You can actually see it for yourself. Billing address is also a requirement. So you can just scroll down, right? Billing address is required. You can quickly add an address. And not just that, you have to actually tell the system, this is a billing address. And I will just be quickly typing in something random. All right, so this is like example here. So see, I am trying to fulfill the requirement, and then the whole group turns green, and now you can see it's all green. So after these are all completed, click save, and there you go, right? You will see this very nice message telling you that your profile is now ready. So this is the very first step into getting yourself e-invoice ready, and we call it MyInvoice ready. So that is the term that we use in our system. All right, once this is done, moving on, the next thing, your customer's information. Just now we're talking about supplier. In this case, it's yourself. You're selling something to your customers, then of course, in order for you to issue e-invoices to your customers, they have to actually give you, or you need to have the full profile. Okay, and what is actually needed, I will show you in a bit, right? But I want to highlight to you that whatever that we talked about just now, all the indicators, all the so-called live validation, right? All those are also in the contact module. So if the customer were to give you a wrong information, you actually do not have to worry so much about it. Before they even leave your shop or your office, you can tell. You can tell immediately when they give you the number, and you can ask them to check. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to actually submit e-invoices. Okay, so that's a very important point. And another point that I should be actually telling you is that, you see, this is also something new as we are actually started supporting e-invoices. entity type. So, and of course, it's quite easy to follow. If today you're selling to a company, so it's kind of like a B2B, then of course you select company. Otherwise, individual. This is like B2C, like a consumer. General public is something that I'll come back later, so you can ignore for now. If you're selling to a foreign company, foreign individual, or exempted person. So exempted are like someone that you're selling to. Example, you're selling to a government agencies, you're selling to royal families, sultan or someone. Those people are exempted, but it's not the topic of today. We're not going to be talking about the regulations, but something that you should be somewhat aware of lah. Otherwise, you might have to attend some other online webinar or seminar in regards to the e-invoice regulations. Okay, so today I'm just showing you from the perspective of the software. But one thing that I want to really highlight is the requirements are all taken care of. If today, say you are using Bukku, as you can see here, if today you select company, right, the requirements is actually stated very clearly that registration number is required, TIN is required. But how about today, if you're selling to a consumer, you can check it out. You see the message actually changed immediately. TIN or registration number is actually required for Malaysian individual. So in other words, we are saying that if today you're selling to a consumer that requires an e-invoice, right, you only need their IC number or TIN. It's not both. Just now company case is both, but this one is just either one of it. How about foreign company? It says that, okay, I should just make sure this is not confusing to you. It says that everything is good. As today you're selling to a foreign company, you don't even have to worry about their registration number, their TIN or anything, because it's not even applicable. But today, if you're selling to an individual, then you can see that it's similar to the individual that we are talking about here. And usually, if you're selling to a foreign person, usually they don't have an IC number, isn't it? Then what you can do is key in their passport number. Because there's a very high chance, although it's accepted, unlikely, certain foreign person might have a TIN, which I'm not sure how that can actually happen, but it's definitely possible. You can actually key in either one of it. All right, most of the time it will be the TIN or the passport number. All right, so just want to highlight about this. So if you're using our software, it's very straightforward. We will tell you exactly what is required. Okay, so that is the requirements. And whatever that we talked about just now, you might have also heard about the TIN, the general TIN number. So those are also not something that you should worry about. Those are all automatically handled in our system. Okay, so I will show you in terms of how you want to update your customer's profile. All right, I have a few dummy records here. I want you to pay attention to this Jeremy Go and Partners, which is looks like a business entity to me. And then you have this Jeremy Go, who happens to be a person, right, an individual. Okay, so now as you can see here, some is actually showing not MyInvoice ready, some is showing MyInvoice ready. So it's straightforward. If I go in Jeremy Go, it's not ready because certain things are missing. And if this is not fixed, you will not be able to issue e-invoices to these Jeffrey Go and Partners. So I will show you, let's say you just received the full information from Jeffrey Go and Partners, and then you can just key in like what I'm doing here. I will try to show you how. It's a business. I have their registration number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Of course, these are all fake, but for demo purpose lah. And also I have the TIN C99 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, see, everything is there with the live validation, with the indicators. So I'll just scroll down. Okay, everything is good, including the address is all there. I can click on save. And guess what? Jeffrey Go and Partners is now turning green. Okay, so that's how in in case you have the customer full information that you want to update one by one, and that's exactly how you can do that. And immediately you can see green. Once it's actually you are seeing green, you can actually start issuing e-invoices to this person already. I mean, this business entity. Okay, that's method number one. Method number two, right? We understand you are not definitely not a fan of updating their tax profile one by one, right? Especially when your business is actually booming, you have like hundreds, thousands of customers. It will be definitely a very tedious process to actually do that. So I will show you how we can actually help you with that, right? We have this thing called batch update, and for that, I want you to pay attention to these first three customers, right? This Abdul Malik, Bhavesh, Carol Marketing. All these are not MyInvoice ready. But if you look at it, I have this interface, batch updates, right? And the first three is exactly what I highlighted just now. And if you pay attention to it, right? Individual and company. As mentioned just now, if you can follow the regulations, it says that individual requires the registration number or TIN. This is one of it. And for business, it requires both. TIN is already there, the registration number is missing. So it just happened that I actually have the information here, and I will just try to key in. And the second one is 9912312999. Okay, and then this one is, okay, this is a business. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and this is, I'm just showing you how you can actually update multiple records all at once. Click save. And then if you were to go back, it's actually turning green. Okay, so altogether, all three is turning green at one shot. And that's how we can actually help you with, if you have most of your customers' information, you want to key in the system, you can do that more easily. Okay, so that is number two. Number three, we understand you're still not happy about this solution, right? Because it still requires you to key in into the system, although it's a bit faster. But what is the fastest way, if you ask me? I will show you there is a faster way in our system. And for that, I want you to look at this Jeffrey Go, right? This is a customer that we do not have their full profile. And if you pay attention to it, right, you can see that being an individual, the IC missing, TIN missing, address also missing. All right, so what you can do is we have this thing called request data. All right, so if you click on that, it allows you to email to your customer and ask the information from your customer, basically asking them to fill out. So this is what I think the fastest way that we can think of at the moment. All right, of course, you do not have to just key in. I'll just take a cup of water. So you do not have to do one by one. You can select multiple and then do a bulk request. Let's say you have 100 of customers, right, that you want to actually send out. You can do that easily. Just simply select all of it, and you can just blast it out. Okay, I'll show you how it works. And for that, I will just do send a request to one of the my customer, right? So the email address, I have it here. I mean, you can actually send an email address. You can actually send an email. I will show you how the email looks like. Okay, so I have just sent out the email to this testing email address. And then I think this is supposed to be the one, right? It just happened so quickly. I click on that. So as you can see, your customer will be actually getting email like this, all right? It's a very serious message, asking for their goodwill to actually help you with the tax compliance, right? So it's actually stated all clearly here, and they get a button to click and come to this interface to actually fill out the information. Okay, so this is option one. Of course, I'm just showing you the look and feel of the email. And there is an alternative way. If you today don't prefer to actually send out email and people don't read email anymore, let's say, you can copy paste the link, right? This link is also provided. You can just pass the link to your customer through WhatsApp, any channels that you prefer. And once they actually click on the link, same thing, it comes back to the same portal for them to actually fill out. All right, so this portal, as you can see, why the legal name is there and the phone number, email address. So you can see it's partially completed. Basically, we're trying to make it simple for your customer as well. Imagine if you ask customer to fill up everything, they won't be interested. They might just close the window and then you will struggle to actually get that information. You have to keep calling them. But we're trying to make it better so that whatever that you already have, let's say the name, of course, phone number, email address is there. So just the missing ones are being highlighted. Okay, as mentioned just now, being a consumer, only PIN or registration number is actually required. So I will just try to fill up some of the information that I have here, assuming that is a NRIC 991231019999. Okay, so this is gone. And now the other things that is missing is the address. So I'll just quickly do that. Okay, so today, now I'm actually acting like the customer. Right now, today I'm actually Jeffrey Go. I fill out the information and then I click on the submit button. Okay, one last step. We need to know who is the one filling up the form because we're going to track everything. We're going to record their email. We're going to record the IP address. So we need to actually be able to tell that whatever email that you key in, you are the owner of that email. Okay, so in this case, I will just quickly put in some dummy stuff so that I can quickly move ahead. I will try to use the same email here. Okay, so I just fill out. I need to request for OTP. Right? This is actually a very standard process. I think most of you have been doing it, if not on a daily basis, but quite frequently that you have to come across this OTP. But the OTP is actually done through an email. So you can just copy paste that 6-digit and then click submit. And then the whole process is completed. Your customer actually help to actually update the information. Now, coming back to the system. Remember just now, Jeffrey Go, it was not MyInvoice ready. Right? I'll try to refresh the page. It's now turning green. Okay, we go in. You can see exactly what the customer has actually provided. You don't have to call them. Okay, it's just a WhatsApp message sending out, and then including the address. It's actually stated clearly this is provided by the contact itself. Okay, so if you want to know, right, if things are too automated, you don't have to worry because everything is tracked in our system. We have this audit log, which is actually telling you that which email address, the person, the IP address. These are all recorded for security purposes. Okay, highlighted registration number, the address and everything. Okay, so you don't have to worry so much about it. This is like automated for you, but you can always trace back. Okay, so that concludes my first two parts, and then we're almost done and we are almost ready to actually submit e-invoices already. Yeah. Next thing, just now I did talk about classification code, right? So moving forward, as soon as you started turning on the e-invoice thing, right? Even if you have tried doing that, right, you will likely have actually seen it. The classification code, exactly what I talked about just now. Every single item that you are going to be selling, right? You have to fill it up. Okay, so that is something that, of course, is going to take away a lot of your time in the future, but nothing we can do is those are all compliance, right? So required by LHDN. But as a responsible software vendor, so what we can do, we are trying our best to make it as simple for you as possible. Say today you are selling something repeatedly. Example, this laptop, MacBook Pro, one of your popular product that you've been selling, right? You can actually key in the classification code here. And then every time when you are about to sell it, it will be automatically filled out. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, we understand that you might not have any idea what are these. You do not know which one to actually fill out. All right. So for that, we have built some kind of automation around that. Just click on this lightning button, and our system will automatically detect based on whatever else that you have previously keyed in. Okay, so you see, we are trying our best to automate. All right, so once these are actually selected, whether it's actually through the auto detection or you actually selected yourself, you don't have to worry, just click on save, and then moving forward, whenever you sell this laptop, the 003 will be automatically selected. Okay, so that is what I want to show you. This is all the preparation. Okay, now we have, just to summarize, we have your supplier's profile, we have your customer's profile, we also have the classification code completed. What's next? You are almost ready to actually submit e-invoices, but one last step before you want to submit e-invoices in our system, go to company settings. Okay, immediately you will see some MyInvoice setting. Okay, forget about second one. We will only be talking about this MyInvoice submission for now. Just turn this on. All right. Otherwise, you won't be seeing the classification code when you are issuing invoice that I showed you just now. Okay, so you have to turn it on. Okay. After you turn on, can you turn off? You can. Okay, so you can turn it off until you started submitting e-invoices. So after this, you can give it a try. But just bear in mind, as soon as you started submitting your first e-invoice, this cannot be turned off anymore, which is happening to me now. This account, we have been submitting e-invoices, and therefore I cannot turn off. Okay, so this is the very last step that you want to turn on before you can actually submit e-invoices. Okay, I think a lot of you cannot wait. I will just immediately show you how you can actually submit an e-invoice easily from our system. Okay, we are not talking about a lot of steps going through. No, it's very straightforward. If today you have been our users, then you will see that it's really that simple. There's virtually no changes to your existing workflow. First, you will, of course, come to this interface, select the customer that you want to actually issue the invoice to. You can select any of the customer, but just bear in mind, you are seeing all these indicators as well. So by right, I shouldn't be able to create an e-invoice to this Chris because it's not even MyInvoice ready. But don't worry, let's say it's just so happen that you need to actually submit this e-invoice. Of course, one thing that you can think of is, how about I quickly go to the contacts module, fix it, and then come back. Yes, you can do that, but there's a better way. Just click on this edit, right? You can just edit everything on the fly, fix it, and then you can just go on with your flow. You don't have to, your flow is not interrupted. Okay, so we're trying to make it as user-friendly as possible. So don't really have to worry about it, but I'll just show you issuing an invoice to already MyInvoice ready contact. Okay, selecting customer, everything else is almost filled out automatically. And then the most important thing, second thing is, what are you selling? Right? Today I'm selling this laptop. As I mentioned just now, the classification codes, it's actually selected. Okay, so you can actually just go ahead and update the quantity, give discount like 80% discount. If your tax code is actually applicable, you can do that. Otherwise, just complete the items that you are selling to your customer. Scroll all the way down. All right. So everything so far is so familiar if you are an existing Bukku user, but this is something new. This is the only thing that you will not recognize once you started turning on. Okay, so I tell you what are the differences. Once you turn on the MyInvoice submission, you will start seeing this. Number one, Number two, you will start seeing this. Only these two things are new. And let me spend a bit of time explaining this MyInvoice control. If today you are submitting normal, which is the default that being selected, nothing changes. It's everything the same, just like what you are currently doing. The invoice is just saved onto the server locally. It's not submitted to LHDN at all. Okay, so if that is what you want, select normal. But let's say today you want to submit to LHDN immediately, then you should select validate. Okay, that's the second option. The third one is external. All right, so external means what? It's also not submitted to LHDN. If you select this one, you click save, it's also not connected to LHDN. Submission is not going to be happening. Okay, so now you will tell me, you will ask me, what's the difference, Jay? Normal, external. All right, the middle one I understand, very straightforward. It says validate. I can totally understand. But these two, you're telling me these two are not submitting. But what's the difference? If you mouse over, right, we will actually tell you the answer already in the shortest way possible. This invoice won't be submitted, but will be included in a consolidated. I hope most of you are already aware what is consolidated, what is a normal e-invoice. Otherwise, you might have to actually try to brush up your e-invoice knowledge. So every single month, you are supposed to consolidate all your normal invoices. Any invoices that the customer didn't ask for e-invoices, you can typically submit as a normal invoice, but still LHDN needs to know how much you are earning. Okay, you cannot say, oh, customer does not need the e-invoice. I do not need to submit at all. No, that is not the case. If the whole month you made 1,000 sales, like 1,000 invoices, only two customers requested for e-invoices. So Jay, are you saying that the other 998 we do not have to submit? That is not the case. You do not need to submit on the spot. You can select as normal, but normal stated clearly that it should be included later, consolidate or combine together. Right? We are not talking about these 998 invoices submitting separately. It's all combined together as a package, submit once. Okay, so that can be done easily in our system. Later, I will show you. But external, it's different. It's not submitted now, and later when you do the consolidation, it's also not included. It's like kind of totally ignored, right? It won't touch LHDN forever unless you go and change it. Everything under external won't be submitted at any given point of time. Okay, why is that the case? Because it's also stated clearly, and as the term suggests, it's already handled externally. You have another system, right? Whether it's e-commerce, whether it's a point of sale system, right? You have a retail shop, your retail orders, your retail income are all handled by the POS system. So when you want to record into the accounting for reporting or whatever reasons, those transactions should be external. Okay, so that is actually the difference. Right? I usually will spend a bit of time trying to explain. Once you get the idea, it's very easy to follow. Okay, so I will just, of course, as I mentioned, I want to submit e-invoice, right? So I should select validate. And let's see if I have anything missed out. And I also will try to send this invoice directly to the customer. Click save. Okay, email address. Let's copy paste this and then save and send. Right, I want to create an invoice and then submit to LHDN at the same time, send an email to the customer. Okay, and you get a notification. And this is also something new, right? So our users, I think you most likely cannot recognize this. We never prompt you whenever you want to click save. Immediately it will just send out, create the invoice and send out. And I will explain why this is needed. I click OK. All right. There could be a delay up to like about 2 to 3 seconds. And that is all that you have to wait for. All right. Now this is completed. Okay, as mentioned, three things. The invoice saved, submission to LHDN, send out to the customer. Everything like just done behind the scene, right? Why was there a prompt just now? Are you sure you want to submit to LHDN? Right? Because, right, it's no longer so straightforward. Last time, our users love our flexibility. I click on the save button just now. Back in the days, right? I make mistakes. I can immediately go and fix. Okay, this is one, supposed to be two. I go and fix. I can click save again. I can send out an email to the customer again saying, sorry, ignore the earlier email. Okay, so our users are very used to it, but now that is not the case. You can try click on this. You see, I'm clicking on this. I click on this. I click on this. It's nothing happening. I cannot edit anymore because it's locked due to validated on MyInvoice. Which is why, very important, we were asking you just now, are you sure you want to submit? Because if you basically cannot change it anymore. So things are more strict moving forward. Okay, so once validated, everything is locked. Of course, certain things, right, that was not submitted to LHDN, you can still make changes. So it's just partially possible. A lot of other things that description, the classification code, those are all locked. You can still change the account code if, let's say, you made a mistake, but everything else is actually locked. Okay, so this is a very important point, and that I want to bring out. So yes, I mentioned three things happened just now, and it's showing validated. So I can actually tell that this is submitted successfully. And if you scroll down, you have all these MyInvoice information here, the validation time, the document UUID. So all this is actually telling you that these are ready, submitted to LHDN. And also another thing is that we also ask the system to send out the e-invoice to the customer, which they can just check out their email. They will get a message like this. They click on the button, they will see the e-invoice. All right, they will see the invoice PDF. And if they scroll to the bottom, this is also something new added, right? QR and stated clearly this is a validated e-invoice, right? Your customer can basically scan to verify whether this is a real e-invoice or not. Okay, from here, they can also click on the validation info, and this is directly going to the MyInvoice server, right? And it's obviously telling them this is actually valid. Okay, so that's everything seamlessly integrated. So that is your very first e-invoice submitted through Bukku. Let me show you the second case. All right. What if you are creating an invoice and then, yeah, this happens to be your long-time customer, happens to have their full profile, but doesn't matter. The customer never asks for an e-invoice, right? At least on the spot, they walk into your shop, right? Ask for a MacBook Pro, and you give them a super discount, right? And then what's next? They never ask for it, so you will just submit as normal. You don't submit as external because that is a transaction originated from this system. It's not coming from another system, and it is supposed to be consolidated later. You have to ask yourself that question. Okay, click save, right? It's that simple, right? Without the delay, as you can see, because we are not even talking to LHDN's server, so it happens a bit faster, right? But there's a problem here, right? Darren walks out from the shop 5 minutes later, came back, only realized that no way. I just realized that computer, right? I should be requesting for the MyInvoice because there is a certain incentive, certain tax rebate that I can actually claim for, right? Darren come back 5 minutes later, right, to your shop. So what you can do is just do a switch, as simple as that, okay? Of course, there are certain rules in place that within 3 days, right? So of course, it's just 5 minutes. You can definitely do that. And let's try that, okay? So Darren comes back and then try to validate. Of course, their profile is already validated. I mean, the profile was already MyInvoice ready. Okay, and this is the perfect example showing you that it's not always real time. Okay, and this is something that we cannot control because we are now connected to their testing server, which happens to be a lot more unstable. Sometimes you even crash, and then it will take longer for validation. Okay, now it's actually showing processing. So it might come back in another, I don't know, 1 or 2 minutes, but I can try to force it and see whether we already have received a result. Okay, so I need you to give me a few moments. I'm trying to log into my backend and try to ask LHDN to try to actually check with LHDN immediately lah. Okay, so something that you can't see on your side, you just bear with me. Okay. Okay, let's see if today's LHDN server is still doing okay. And now we have this green button coming in. Okay, if I don't force it, I might need to wait for another 2 or 3 minutes, which is, I don't think it's a good idea to leave everyone here waiting. But you get the idea. Darren comes back to your shop, asks for the e-invoice, and then you can give them immediately. Okay, so that is when you made a mistake, you forgotten that you need the e-invoice. I mean, the customer needs an e-invoice. You selected normal, you can switch to validate anytime within 3 days. So those are all rules set by LHDN. It's not by ourselves. You don't come in and ask, why is it 3 days, cannot be 4 days or 5 days? So there's nothing we can do from our end. So that was the second e-invoice that we actually created in our system, although indirectly. All right. Now, can we cancel the invoice? Can we make changes to the invoice? The answer is no. We cannot change the invoice as stated just now. Everything is logged. Only certain things that I highlighted that was not submitted to LHDN, like let's say remarks, let's say the internal notes, those you can make changes. Account code, you can make changes. But for everything else, lock, right? If you cannot make changes, like the amount is off, you cannot make changes, sorry. But what you can do, if you want to adjust, you have to cancel the invoice. In our system, we use the term void, okay, which is more familiar with our users. All right, so you can actually void, okay, exactly same thing. Okay, so there are certain rules, right? You cannot void anytime. The voiding has to be done within 72 hours, right? From the point that it was validated. So let's take the second invoice to Darren just now, right? Let's see that. Can we void it? Well, we cannot change, but we can void it. And it's the same process. Existing Bukku users, you know how to void the invoice. But one thing new is that the reason it's now required. If this is a validated e-invoice, then it's required. If this one was never submitted to LHDN, no changes to the existing workflow. You can choose not to key in any reasons, but here, this is needed. All right, it's voided. This is created by mistake. Okay, you have to wait for a while because we are voiding it. We are also telling, connecting to LHDN to cancel the e-invoice. Okay, so this is how you can actually cancel. But again, a reminder, it's actually 72 hours. You cannot cancel anytime. Beyond 72 hours is locked. And I can show you. Okay, I can show you what is going to be the case. Let's say this is like 2 weeks old. It's more than 72 hours. Okay, you don't see the void button here. Or if you mouse over, it's telling you only 72 hours, you can actually cancel it. Okay, so that is another point I want to bring up. Okay, another case. Just now, you found a problem with your invoice and you voided yourself. But how about the customer sees the invoice, right? They found something went wrong. Something is not right. They asked for, let's say the customer requested for 2 quantity, but you actually put in 1. So what they can do, of course, they can give you a call and you can do what I show you just now. You go and void the invoice and you create the invoice again. Okay, so that will be the typical process moving forward. You cannot just suka change the invoice moving forward. You have to cancel, you have to recreate another invoice. But as an alternative way, your customer can send a request to reject. It's not directly reject, yeah? So I will show you that, right? But now, as a customer, which in this case is this mass and the electronics, let's see. Yeah, okay, so this is the correct one that I will void. The quantity is wrong. Suppose. Okay. Again, I have to do a bit of acknowledgement, verification. Just do it very quickly. Okay, request for OTP. Then we go back to the email list. So already sent out the OTP. So waiting for us to key in. Okay, yep, the OTP is actually here. And I can just copy paste this thing here. Click submit. So you are sending a request to your supplier to reject the e-invoice with the stated reason. Are you sure you want to continue? Yes. Okay, so yes, all good. So what is going to be happening here? You will receive a notification here. Of course, it's going to be here as well. You can click on it. It's showing you exactly what's happening, what's going on. All right, so the customer request to reject. As mentioned just now, is not a directly reject. And you will ask me a very frequently asked question, what if you don't agree to the stated reason? Right? Nothing will happen. You can just leave it there. Okay, so you can just leave it there. Beyond 72 hours, this is gone. This will be gone. Okay, if you do not take action, this invoice will be valid and it will be valid forever. There will be no way for anyone to actually cancel it again. But what if, right? This is as what stated by the customer is really wrong, then you can cancel it. Okay, you click on it, right? This is basically voiding it lah. All right, even if you do the void, it will come out the same thing. Okay, so if you were to agree to the customer, you will cancel it, you will void it, and the reason will be automatically populated. You just click OK, and it will be voided as per the request by customer. Okay, so that is how a request sent in from the customer side, you can actually respond to it, right? What's next, right? Customer stated this is wrong and you're supposed to fix that, right? So you still want to do business with them. So as a shortcut, click on duplicate. You have to create another invoice. Okay, you create everything. This is a super shortcut. You just click one button, everything is copied over. Just change that. Okay, so you're feeling sorry, so you give them a bit more discount, right? Select validate. Okay, so this is a B2B, you're supposed to submit to LHDN, right? So just wait for a while. Okay, so now it's validated again. Okay, so of course you can choose to send to the customer as a link or WhatsApp or anything. So all those are already what we have in the system now. Okay. What I can show you next. Okay, Now you have this. This is actually the third e-invoice that we actually submitted in our system today. What if, right? You want to reverse an e-invoice, or let me put it in another way. We always talk about the 72 hours or even that 3 days, right? What happens if today you found a problem? Imagine this invoice is already more than 3 days old, right? You found a problem only after 3 days, and anything after 3 days, you cannot click on this button. Let me just remind you again. Anything older than 3 days, you cannot wait. Okay, so if you cannot wait, then basically even if you found out yourself or the customer call you say, hey, this is wrong, but it's already like 1 week later, and there's nothing you can do to actually uh, cancel it, right? So how do you go about? Okay, so and somehow everything is locked lah, and imagine this is also not there, right? Following LHDN's requirements or regulations, you of course still can reverse it, but you have to reverse in a very proper accounting standard way, which is using a credit note. All right, so you have to raise a credit note to offset, to reverse the invoice, whether it's in full, like 9,000 something, or sorry, this is 1,004 something, or partially. Okay, so let's say a scenario where this is not supposed to be 2, it's supposed to be 1. You want to reverse it, how do you go about? Just click on this, go copy to credit note. Assuming that invoice cannot be voided anymore, and then you can only issue a credit note to the same person, and you will reverse partially. Okay, and you also have to remember knocking off the original invoice, half of it, because you are reversing partially. Of course, if today you want to reverse the entire transaction, you want to cancel the whole thing, you should select 2. Otherwise, it's just half of it in the case that I want to showcase now. All right, so of course, you will need to validate. If you ask me why, it's very straightforward. Originally, you told LHDN this is the income. Okay, because LHDN is in charge of your tax, so they will expect you pay tax based on your income. If you never submit your credit note, essentially what they know is you made 1,005. So you have to also submit a credit note to bring the number down, so they are aware that okay, you are only making half of it. Okay, so this is a very important point. Click save. Now we are creating our first credit note in system, LHDN's e-credit note. Okay, so as you can see, this is also validated, and of course, everything validated is logged. Coming back to the invoice, it's partial, as you can see. Okay, so you can share both documents to the customer. So they're supposed to pay you half only. When they make payment, it will be half only, which is the balance of 749. Okay, so that is how you can actually do a reversal of the invoice, whether it's a partial or full. All right. Now I want to show you, okay, example, like if today I show you another scenario now. Someone comes into your office or your shop, and you don't know who they are. It's just like cash sales, and you don't need to actually know who. And they come in to buy a laptop, okay, which is very common. Imagine today you walk into a machines to buy a MacBook, and usually they won't ask for your full name and everything unless you want an e-invoice, right? So assuming that is the situation right now and there's no discount, and then you will just submit as a normal. Why is it a normal? Because you will need to consolidate later. That is your sales. You save it. Of course, you can choose to share with our system. You can choose to share through WhatsApp or anything to your customer. And then after the customer go back, right? They went back home only to realize that, hey, actually, I need an e-invoice for the computer that I bought this morning. Okay, so they recall that you actually share with them the link. They open up, they see the invoice, everything online. So those are all ready-made. You don't have to build anything. You don't have to actually turn on anything, pay additional. Those are the standard package, right? They see the invoice. Oh, too bad. This is not a normal. It's not an e-invoice even without my name. Okay, the customer is like complaining to himself, right? Without the name. And yeah, there's a QR. It says that not validated, right? But the good thing is that they can scan this QR to actually convert into an e-invoice at home. You don't without need to going back to your shop. They can scan. They can click on this button. All right, let's try that. As an individual, of course, we don't know who is the customer. We do not know who you are because you are cash sales, right? So I don't know what's your name. So I'm just going to do customer, follow today's date lah, okay? My IC. So I just type in, okay? And then we just follow what's actually required. And the address. Click. Then have to do a acknowledgement when you want to request for e-invoice. That is actually a needed step just for security purposes. All right, request for the OTP, and then we're supposed to go back. Okay, OTP. Copy paste. So this is still reminder, the customer requesting for e-invoice from home. Okay, already left your office, left your shop, click submit. Are you sure? I mean, the system is actually asking, click OK. The customer click OK and wait for a while, click OK. It's now validated. Okay, how do I know? The customer is now seeing their name. Scrolling down, this is the validated QR. It's actually stated clearly. There is a validation info here that they can click to verify it's actually their name. Okay, so that's all automated. So coming back to the system, you will be notified whenever someone requested for their e-invoice, which was cash sales, if you can recall, right? All right, just look at it. Let me just quickly reload the page. Okay, it's updated automatically. It's now customer, right? So this customer profile, it's created automatically. Okay, so next time the customer comes back, I mean, you even have the profile. Those are all automatically created. Okay, so you have all the information, right? So that's how you can actually leverage on how powerful our system is. If today your customer want to actually request for e-invoice, they can do that seamlessly. Yeah. Okay, so that is done. Next thing, I think we're almost done with like most of the scenarios when it comes to issuing an e-invoice. But how about the opposite side? Today, if you're buying, right? As such that you can actually prove that it's actually your expenses, right? You are supposed to request for e-invoice, right? For all the expenses moving forward, I think your supplier should actually send you submit an e-invoice. Otherwise, you should remind them, you should recall, you should actually make sure those are all submitted as an e-invoice. Then LHDN, the way how LHDN looks at it is, okay, now you have actually incurred expenses. You have income, you have expenses. So everything makes sense to LHDN. If you only record income without expenses, so it's like basically you're telling LHDN that your business makes a lot of money with zero expenses. There's no cost at all. Then you have to pay a lot of tax lah, basically. That's basically the outcome. So so that's my point just now. You have to always request for e-invoice, but there's always a what if. What if? Give you a few scenarios today. You are buying something for a individual, like let's say a second-hand computer. You found someone selling online real cheap that you want to buy and use it for. There's someone joining your company lah. You do not want to buy a new one. You want to buy a second-hand. That person is not doing business and therefore they cannot give you an e-invoice. That's number one. Number two is, let's say today you are dealing with a foreign company. They are not supposed to comply with e-invoice. They might not even know what's going on in Malaysia. So they can't be giving you an e-invoice. I give you an example here, right? And just to make it more realistic, I'm buying something from a Singaporean company, and then make it realistic. It's a Sing dollar. I buy something, fresh chicken, is something random, 100 unit. So it's $88 or convert to 295 ringgit. Okay, this person not able to give you the e-invoice because they are not complying with Malaysia government's initiatives at all. So with that, what do? Okay, you can still submit validate. This is the so-called self-billed e-invoice. You're taking over, you're replacing the supplier's role, you're helping them to submit. End of the day, you're telling the LHDN, yes, I have actually incurred some costs. So that's very important point. If they can't do it, if today you're buying a second-hand computer from someone or from a foreign company, then you have to validate yourself. Okay? Yeah. If it's already submitted as, back to the earlier point just now, most of your supplier are supposed to give you e-invoice. You're supposed to request. If they already have submitted as an e-invoice, you submit as external. Because as stated again, right, the bills are already submitted elsewhere. You're not going to submit again. Validate is going, you are going to submit again. You're going to tell LHDN that you incur a cost again, where it's already submitted. Right? LHDN has all the information. The moment that your supplier submitted, it's actually your cost because it was addressed to your team at the tax ID. All right, so that case, you have to make sure it's external. If they cannot provide, then you have to do a validate. You either do a validate or you do a normal, end of the month, you consolidate all together, submit to LHDN. So both accepted. But if you ask me, regulation-wise, a bit messy now if you ask me, because there's a 6-month buffer that everything is supposed to be consolidated. So whether it's accepted to be consolidating all the self-bill, I think it's best to check with LHDN. Okay, so this one I cannot say for sure, but I just want to demonstrate. Let's say today, one by one, I want to submit as a self-bill. I click on save and then click OK. Just wait for a while. Okay, so again, as you can see, it's again slowing down processing. So I can try to force that. Okay, it's taking a bit longer. So, but you get the idea. Okay, you get the idea. It will turn green, and that is when it will become a self-billed e-invoice, and it's a valid cost to your company from a point of view of LHDN. Okay, so that is the self-billed e-invoice. We're almost done. Okay, then we can move on to the Q&A already. Next, I want to showcase the MyInvois module, which you won't see it if you never turn on the MyInvoice submission. Only if you turn on the MyInvoice submission, you can see this. Bukku transaction, let me explain. It's coming from Bukku's point of view, right? Every single invoices that you have created in the system will be here. This list is very similar. This is invoice, of course, you can change. It's very similar to this, almost identical. At least the invoices is going to be the same. All the invoices are going to be the same, right? The only difference that you can notice is more focus on the MyInvoice information. Okay, so you can tell that this is validated lah, this is submitted a valid or whatnot. Second thing is MyInvoice document, right? This is actually coming from the point of MyInvoice submission. Let's say today you have 3 invoices, one submitted to LHDN, then you should see one record only. But under Bukku transaction, you will see 3 invoices. One submit as validated, the other one is actually parked under normal, let's say. Okay, so that will be the differences lah. Okay, and this is basically where you can inspect your submissions in case there's something going wrong, you want to see an overview of everything, you can come here to actually inspect. Okay, so yeah, and of course, when you come into MyInvoice document, you can click on the view button. Let's say this is one of the last transaction that we did just now, the one that requested for e-invoice at home, if you can recall. Click on the view button, right? The information that you are seeing here is actually everything submitted to LHDN, exactly information. So even the SST, if there's nothing, it will automatically NA. Okay, so the team, the registration number, right? This is actually the suppliers, which is yourself, your MSIC code. So those are the 55 fields that we talk about at the very beginning. Everything, almost everything here is automated for you. Okay, and this is actually the customer information. The team that we talk about, it's automated. You don't have to worry about all the general team. Okay, and customer info and the related transaction and the whatever that you actually sold to the customer. Okay, so that is from a point of view of a MyInvoice document. Next, I want to talk about final thing that I want to talk about. We have consolidation, right? Let's see. I think I did something just now. I think I'm just going to cancel this so that it's not confusing for you guys. All right, so let me show you. Consolidation is supposed to be done every monthly after the month has actually concluded. So now I can only do the consolidation. I can only do the consolidation for April. I can do consolidation for April only, yeah. And because we are in the month of May, and normally you should do within the first 7 days, right? But today's already 14. You can still do it. LHDN allows you to upload, submit anytime the following month. Our system also allows you to submit anytime. But bear in mind, the regulation says within 7 days. So you have to make sure it's done within 7 days. Otherwise, penalty might apply. Okay, so and one thing that I want to highlight here is our system will send you a reminder, right? Starting when you are going into a new month, as long as you have any transactions parked under normal, supposed to be submitted as a consolidated, our system will send you a few reminders. I think it's up to 3 reminders, if not mistaken. So that you can actually be more confident that you did it, you did the right thing. Okay, so where do you submit? Before that, I will show you. In the month of last month, how about I show you from here? Bukku transaction, last month, April, I have these transactions, and then I want to focus on the normal because only normal will be submitted as a LHDN, as a consolidated. Okay, so turns out we have 3 invoices, both 2 for cash sales, 1 for Darren, but doesn't matter lah. Okay, so when you do a consolidation, you can just click on the button here, right? So everything is automated. You can submit as for the invoice. And then this is a quick summary of what is going to be included in the consolidated document. It's basically one single document submitting for 3 transactions, right? I'll show you how it looks like. Okay, everything good, click OK. And just wait for a while. Okay, so I will just clear all this. All right, so how can you tell that this is actually submitted, right? The invoice just now, April, it's submitted. Okay, why is it not showing valid? Because of the delay coming from LHDN side. I can try to do it from the backend and see whether it's coming back, so I can show you how it looks. Yes, so now it's actually reflecting as the valid, but it's a console. This is coming from the point of Bukku transaction. You can look at the transaction 1, 2, 3. These 3 transactions was submitted as a console, but more clearly, you can come here. It's actually stated here, right? You submitted today, and there's a total of 14,000 something submitted as a valid consolidated e-invoice. It's addressing to general public. So all these are automated. If you go and click view, you get to see what kind of information was submitted to LHDN, the TIN, the name, everything. Okay, if you scroll down, you can see that the consolidated, 3 transactions was consolidated together, and then those are the information submitted to LHDN. Okay, so all these are automated, classification code, the invoice number, all these are following LHDN's requirements. You don't have to worry about anything. You just click a few buttons. Those are all done for you. Okay, so that is basically how you can do e-invoices, consolidated e-invoices. What if you made a mistake? Okay, of course, it has to be within the first 7 days, hopefully. You can cancel it. Okay, and then you redo again. Let's say last month you forgotten one invoice. You park under a wrong place, like external or something, and you just go and fix that, and then you can redo it. But again, you have to redo it within the first 7 days also. Okay, so that is basically how you can actually deal with the consolidated e-invoices. So with that, I actually can conclude my live demo for this LHDN's features, integrations, whatever you call it, e-invoice integration, e-invoice features inside Bukku Accounting. Okay, so now I think we can move on to the Q&A and see if I can try my best to answer as many questions as possible today, right? So just give me a moment. I will bring up the Q&A panel. Okay. I have my customers. I'll start to address the questions. I have my customer. They usually will advise if the invoice is correct or require correction. They will usually acknowledge after 5 days. How should I do it in Bukku that meets the government requirement? So if you are taking perhaps a bit longer to actually finalize the invoice, right? I would, these are all our recommendations, but I think you all can, a lot of times our customers are even more creative than us, but those are all exchange of conversation with our customers. So one of the things that you can consider doing is that until everything is finalized, because you do not want the hassle of like keep on canceling the e-invoice and submit again, right? You can park everything under draft mode. In another way, is actually a pro forma invoice. You can create as draft only once that is finalized, like 5 days later, then you will switch to ready invoice and then you submit to LHDN. But bear in mind, you will need to change the invoice date. Like imagine today, you created the invoice on the 1st of January as a draft. When you convert into a ready, it will still be 1st of January, but it's already on the 6th of January that you are doing that. And you are not allowed to submit e-invoice anymore because the date is like 6-7 days difference. So you're supposed to update the invoice date to the 5th or the 6th lah. So that is something that you can keep in mind. Okay, so I will answer your question. Will you share this intermediary details? Or yes, we have recorded video. We have articles. You can check with our customer team. In case you are not aware, you can always check with our customer team here, or even faster, you can just search for. Example, I can show you now. I search for MyInvoice immediately. I have all this information here. Okay, you can refer to the articles and the documentations lah. Okay, what if my company is not in the MyInvoice portal? I can't see my company at the taxpayer profile. You might want to check with your tax agent. We have a lot of issues. I mean, our customer has had a lot of issues. Sometimes it's not even their fault. Sometimes it's a bug from my tax portal side. There are certain steps to follow to actually add the business profile under your IC number. Because by default, LHDN is not connecting your tax profile, personal tax profile, whatever that start with IG, SG, the OG thing, with your business, right? So by default, they assume that you do not own any company lah. So there are certain steps for you to actually do to connect these two. So you can try to talk to your tax agent. They are the best person to help you with that lah. Although you can come to our customer team, but sometimes it's not recommended lah. Okay. Can send me the team here. I'm not sure what you're referring to, but I just recall there's something that I forgotten to highlight just now. We also have this thing called team number search. Okay, so let's say this one I can try. See, if you have the IC, the registration number, you will be able to search for the team. So those are all connected to LHDN server lah. Okay, so that is possible. If you do not have the customer's team, you can actually try to request, try to search for it. Am I the only one seeing blur screen from our live demo? I can't tell. At least you are the first one complaining. I will check about this lah. Okay, so sorry for that if you can't see it clearly. Customer needs to provide classification code, right? I don't think so. At least it's not in our system, right? Just now you see the customer profile. It was never there. We only talk about their address, their name, their IC number, their team. That's it. All right. So I don't think it's a requirement. Correct me if I'm wrong. If our company do interior and renovation, what's the classification code? I think you're talking about the product classification code or the MSIC. But either one of it, right, you can just click the search button. Okay, our system actually can help you to determine which one is more suited for you. I have a recurring payment to bank for loan and individual for rental, but no invoice received from either party. I think from bank, there should be a way. You can check with bank. They are already building the portal, or they already have the portal for any fees related to the bank. They can actually provide an e-invoice or some sort lah. But for the rental, I think you will need to do a self bill. Right? You need to get the proof lah. Okay, if they cannot give you an invoice, a payment receipts or anything that's useful attached together, you submit as you record in our system, submit as self bill. Okay. What time on your system service date when issue sales invoice. I'm not sure if I understand you correctly. Perhaps you can clarify. Okay. Well, a lot of questions here. I'll try my best. Those validated invoices, after found an error, what correction can we do? If you're saying like you make mistakes with the quantity, the price, the only thing you can do is within 3 days, you can void, you can cancel it, and then you duplicate, redo, meaning to say you create another invoice. Beyond the 3 days, you have to reverse it. Right? You have to reverse using credit note. Let's say it's totally wrong. You can reverse the entire thing and try to redo again, which is to create another invoice. If all my invoices is validated during I send to customer, do I still need to do any consolidation? No. Okay, if you are following me, the request for e-invoice, which I think I didn't mention just now, but if your customer can request for e-invoice only within the same calendar month. If the invoice is 1st of January, the latest that they can request is 31st of January. And you only do the consolidation in the following month. So there's no problem with that. If they requested for e-invoice, it will be automatically excluded because that invoice that I showed just now, the last invoice to this customer, originally, if you can recall, it was, sorry, I can't see. Yeah, it's here. It was normal. But when customer requests for it, it changed to validate. So when you do a consolidation, only the normal will be taken in. Yeah, okay. Blue means valid. Yes, blue is actually the consolidated, also is valid. How to do consolidate sell bill? Sure. Okay. Let's say you have a few bills to be consolidated. Usually it's actually under normal, right? So example, let's see if I have any bills under normal or not. All right. So just nice, I have one under normal last month, consolidated sell bill, this one. Okay, so it's just 4 options for you to choose. If the client did not share their information, is that I need to put general public. You basically select, you don't have to worry about the general public. You just select the cash sales, which is, wait, let me show you. Cash sales, which is general public. Okay, those are automated for you. You just select any context that is actually pointing to general public. That's it. And they can request it if they want it. Yeah. So you don't have to worry about the TIN number. How about for general expenses or rent expenses, non-business? Do we need to create bill to get validated? If you're talking about sell bill, right, depending on the situation on your end, if you need that to be validated, and it was not validated from another end, then you have to do it. Can you do a sample demo? Supplier issue e-invoice to us and then link to purchase bill. Supplier issue e-invoice to us. Yeah, I think I did it briefly just now. If today you are recording a incoming supplier invoice, assuming anyone, it was a validated one, then you should just select external, as simple as that. Okay, everything is the same, just like how you normally record in our system. I want to ask if there is a submission deadline for the sell bill. It's the same. It's the same, meaning to say following the date, 3 days, right? So you might need to adjust a little bit. There are certain rules which I cannot cover today, like especially when it comes to import. All right, so there are certain rules governing that says that until the end of the following month and things like that, that you can actually submit sell bill. But our system is just straight following the rules, which is the 3 days thing. So you actually have to change the date around a little bit. If let's say the system does not allow you to submit, if it's already beyond 3 days, this only do consolidate. Not sure what do you mean by that. Possible to show refund notes. Our system does not require refund note. So something that I need to highlight here. So it's all handled with what we have now, invoices and credit note. Okay. Commission payment, can we do the self bill via bank money out? We do not have the e-invoice thing under money in and money out. So anything that you need to submit, you have to park under bill, only 4 places: bill, credit note, and then invoice and credit note. Okay, so if anything that you need to submit as your income or expenses, technically we will assume all these are sales and purchases lah, and it makes sense. So all the other miscellaneous is not supported. Okay, so if anything to do with your sales or expenses that you want to submit to LHDN, you should consider park it under sales or purchases. Scan to convert into e-invoice also must be done within 3 days. So you're saying, let's say you receive an invoice on the 1st of January, right? And then, I mean, the invoice, supplier invoice is dated 1st of January, and you only process it slightly later. Let's say your office is very busy. You actually process it on the 15th of January, but the invoice date was actually dated 1st of January. When you select the first, I can show you here and see how it works. So hopefully I can provide a solution. Let's say, following the scenario just now, let's say let's say 1st of May lah, okay, and then I will record these expenses, and I won't be able to submit validate. So I think this is a very good point. We can take this into consideration, but for now you might need to change the date around so that you can, let's say, you can actually do a self bill. So this is a point that we can actually take note. All right, thanks for that. How about if you purchase something for Aeon or Mr. DIY? You should be able to request for e-invoice for this big organization. Usually their receipts will come with a QR. Okay, so you can request from them, and then coming into our system is just external already lah. Okay. Okay, so I will need to, so we'll try to answer for another 5 minutes, okay? Okay, so I want to ask question on how to do a refund, how to make a refund. Okay, so the refund between you and your client is entirely between yourself. So LHDN point of view is only recording your income, your sales income, and let's say there's a reverse of your income you use using credit note. So that is actually sufficient. Possible to request for your recording today? Yes, you can actually request for our recording today. We have a same copy on the YouTube already lah. How about bills like TMB, Shabazz? Those are also same case as stated just now. You can actually request for e-invoice directly with the TMB and Shabazz. Otherwise, it has to come in as a self bill lah, which I don't think is actually needed lah. We need to present our classification code in product and services, right? So at the end, I submit the consolidated. It will auto change the classification code. Yes. So one point that this candidates, this attendee is bringing up is actually the consolidated items will always have a designated 004 if not mistaken. So it will be overwritten lah. Okay, for new company that was set up this year, how do I look for team? I think this information you might want to check on the LHDN side. Okay, so this is a bit beyond our topic today. So you have to find a way to get the team lah. You have to actually talk to your tax agent or someone. And what if there's a mistake in the consolidated e-invoice after submission to LHDN but past the 7 days? Oh, good question. I think anything finalized, you have to find a way to reverse or adjust using another follow-up transactions, right? Okay. What do we do as in the first step? Right, just give me a second, yeah. Yeah, okay. What do we do as a first step for implementation of e-invoice as a vendor to our clients? So let's say most of your clients are B2B, like the businesses, right? So you can do the very first thing that you can do is actually blast out the request MyInvoice data thing just now that I showed. You can tick all of 100 of your customer, send out an email to them. Okay, so that is the very first step that you can actually do to gather information from them. The invoice, choose normal one, can modify and can cancel anytime. If you choose normal, it's a normal invoice. So you get a full flexibility just like before, if you have used our system before. You can cancel, you can make changes, you can do whatever you want, okay, until you do a submission. Okay. May I get further clarification on products and services? My company is an engineering professional service contractor. We are on a project base, and the description of our service is vary. How should we put the classification code? This one I cannot advise you. So it's actually depending on the classification code, the classification of your service or the item itself. But let's say whatever the description is, but it's always the same natural, I think you can always stick to the same classification code. No need to use so many different classification code because usually your business is just going to be doing one or two types of services. It's not very, very different. Okay. Can we still continue to generate quarterly billing for maintenance fees and sinking fund? I think this is related to some of the joint management body, the condo management organization. I think we have a lot of customers coming from this industry, which I remember that you all like to do post-dated, right? So it means January you will post-date February and March bills, I mean the invoices, those cannot be, I think cannot be done anymore because at least those cannot be submitted to LHDN. Okay, so the post-dated ones cannot be submitted to LHDN, and therefore your tenants, your landlords cannot request for e-invoice. Like I think you might want to consider changing the no choice. Like I understand the industry has been doing that for how many years, 10, 20 years, but e-invoice wise, you cannot post date. Okay, you can only backdate 3 days as you can see just now. But I can even show you, like today is the 14th of May, right? So I can do 14, I can still do a validate. Going beyond even 1 day, you cannot do it anymore. So you get the idea, yeah? All right. For seller who do not require to register as e-invoice, but selling to customer who is a e-invoice register, you do not need to do anything, but feel free to correct me. I think you can just provide a normal invoice and then they will do the sell bill. So the other side will do a sell bill. My company is doing e-commerce, selling Shopee marketplace by using Pericon warehouse system. So in the invoice portal, you recommend me for all sales invoice to do the normal consolidated of after 1 month. If I can recall, e-commerce transactions are all handled by Shopee, Lazada. Means it's handled by a third party, then it should be external if not mistaken. Yeah. You do not need to redo again because if you were to submit again and Shopee also submit, that means your sales from LHDN perspective is double. So you have to consider that everything needs to submit one time only. You cannot submit, you cannot miss out anything, and you should not also like submit double. I would like to know if Bukku can do a self-bill e-invoice for payments of commission. We can do anything, but end of the day, it's about how you use it. I mean, yes, we can create self-bill, but you have to put in the classification code or the description yourself lah. So that's depending on how you use the system. Can I upload invoices using Excel? Yes, you can do that in our system. How can Bukku help streamline operations for money lending business? Specifically, how we can create invoices? I think this is a bit off topic. Feel free to reach out to our team, customer team. Okay, so I have to focus on the e-invoice questions today lah. If I have 5 sales for customer A, 3 sales for customer B, 10 for customer C, and so on, how do I consolidate the monthly invoice into? It will all be consolidated. It doesn't matter. It's the same customer or different customer. So when you do consolidation, it's for the entire month, all the invoice, all the customers are considered lah. Okay. For the products that we bought from a foreign company, must create the invoice. That's a very good point. This was highlighted by another user just now. By right, it's actually 72 hours lah. But I think we have taken the point. We'll see what we can do. Perhaps we'll loosen the rules a little bit so you all can actually submit for extended period of time. If a customer, let's see, I have how many? Okay, I will try to answer another 2 minutes. Okay. If a customer requests an e-invoice from my company, okay, and to claim from their employer, so they have entered their company information in the request form, change their mind, turns into a personal expense. How should we go about this? They have to let us know of the changes. Customer request for e-invoice from your customer. Okay, so they put in their company info lah, and later change. No, if you submitted already, you cannot change, or you can try to contact the company to actually cancel it. So then everything that as long as it's actually submitted, suppliers info customer is all like finalized. The only thing you can do is cancel it and then redo if it's within 3 days lah. So you might have to contact the other party for that. Recording, yes, we have recording, but you can check the YouTube already. Add intermediary, add company, request ventures. Yes, this is our company, correct. Okay, I'll try to tackle another 2 questions. For quick share invoice to the customer, if our customer profile has 2 or 3 email address, will it show all 3 email address? Yeah, by default, it will show all the email address, but you can actually modify, you can change it yourself. Okay, one last question. I'm running kindergarten with almost same customer, like parents, the same month. Can I do a consolidated? Yes. If your parents never requested for e-invoice, of course you can do consolidated lah. Yeah. But if they wanted it like for tax relief or something, but by right they should request for it lah. Okay, I think we are a bit out of time, right? So sorry, there's still a lot of questions that I can't actually get to answer today, but don't worry, we have these sessions running on at least a monthly basis. We have a Chinese version just started. We have Malay version. Of course, we have English version. So the next English version will be on the 11th of June, if not mistaken. Feel free to sign up again if you want to actually get more familiar or you want to ask further questions. I will still try my best because today is really a lot of people coming in. If I can tell, it's like almost close to 200 people joining. It's really, yeah, you guys are very interested to learn. I mean, very keen to learn. That's a good thing. And yeah, with that, I will actually conclude my session today. Thanks a lot for all of you joining us today. Really appreciate, and I hope to see you guys around. If you haven't signed up, you can consider sign up for a free trial. Okay, thank you. See you. Bye-bye.